Hi.
Question. Hi, and I have with me the amazing Mindy Jones. We are here on this amazing segment of Breaking Barriers interview series, and it's such a pleasure having Mindy here today. She is an awesome real estate executive. She owns her own team. She's also the founder of a nonprofit organization and also a coach as well. And I'm sure she's going to give great details on her background, but it's so great to have her words be an inspiration and a source of empowerment of our upcoming aspiring female executive leaders. I can't think of a better place to get that encouragement. So, Mindy, an official welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. So excited to be a part of this.
Yes, yes, yes. So tell us a little bit more, like if you could just tell us just your name, current position, title, and then we move on into how long have you been working in the C-suite executive level?
Sure. So my name is Mindy Jones, and I am the owner of the Amy Jones Group, which is a residential real estate team here in the East Valley of Arizona. And I've been in the real estate industry for about 11 years and have built this team. We're currently made up of 12 women, so all moms, a really unique environment where we've been able to foster deep connections and a safe and supportive environment where women can have the opportunity to seek out really big goals, whether it's financial support of their family, a balance between work and life and scheduling and trying to make it all work, all in a safe place where people can talk about the juggle itself. I also started a nonprofit a couple of years ago called Community on Purpose. The name, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point, the idea of on purpose is really something that I believe shows up in a lot of areas of my life. I think a lot of times you hear people say that things happened organically or naturally, and I think often what they're meaning when they say that is that it was a good fit. Like it felt good, it happened easy, it flowed well. But to say that didn't happen without purpose or without intention, I think is really missing a big piece of the puzzle. So the whole idea behind Community on Purpose is that it takes our intention, our being on purpose to foster community. And so the goal of that organization is to support organizations that are already doing work in the community through advocacy, friend awareness, fundraising, things like that. And then most recently, I became an Exactly What to Say certified guide. There is a book called Exactly What to Say. And the premise of the book is really around elevating life's most critical conversations, coming from a place of curiosity in order to build empathy with the person on the other side of the conversation, ultimately to build a greater level of trust so that we can expedite some form of action. And what I've loved about this work is really its application in all different areas of our life, at home and at work, in leadership and in community. And so I really latched on to the framework and have been able to use it as a coaching tool for people inside of the real estate industry and outside.
Wow, you're an excellent support mechanism. I think for being such um, supportive for the women community and beyond in the real estate industry and beyond. So that shows exactly who you are as a person and that you operate with empathy. And it's one of
Yeah,
the things that's one of my superpowers.
I
I,
love that.
I resonate with that and just helping women particularly because we do have a very intricate journey unlike our male peers here, and
Hmm.
have people who understand, support them as leaders. So thank you for doing that. And
Absolutely. Thank
um,
you.
yeah, so my next question really to you is specific challenges. What are specific challenges you see in the real estate industry in terms of
Hmm.
cultivating resiliency as a female executive leader?
I mean, I think the greatest challenge is that women are balancing all different things in a day, right? I think that not that there aren't supportive husbands or male figures in families, but I think often the responsibility for the well being of the kids or the coordination of care for elderly parents or stepping in to support people in their community that need help, friends, church members, whatever it might be, typically will fall ultimately on the woman. And I think what happens is in a corporate environment, the woman is forced to leave those things at the door because they have to be in a certain place at a certain time, right? Some of that we've challenged over the years of COVID of do we have to be in a certain place at a certain time? But the way that that construct, right, was built was it required women to leave things at the door and sort of figure out how they were going to make it all work and fit it all together. In the real estate space, I think you have a couple of really unique challenges to that. And the first is that as an entrepreneur, you have the ability to design your own schedule. And so a lot of times what will happen is those things that are extremely important will take over the time that you had maybe allotted to work on your business or to be in a business environment. And so while you can service your clients very well, what often gets put on the back burner is the business building activities. So the activities through whether it's lead generation or client or lead follow-up, right? Like not certainly not client care, but business building, future building. I think a lot of times what happens is that gets put on the back burner because these other very important pieces of who we are as women, especially as we ebb and flow through different seasons, there's a conflict there in time. I think the other challenge to this industry specifically is that obviously when people are looking for homes for them and their families, it is a highly emotional, very intense relationship that we as women have to support. And so in addition to the potential for time conflict, there's also the are you pouring from an empty cup or from a full cup? And if you are in seasons with families, right, and you're giving a lot at home, or like me, I have a 4.5-year-old toddler, and some days are easy peasy and most and many days are not. And so you have an energy challenge, right, that you're facing. And I think the last piece I would say is that in this industry specifically, it isn't something that happens only during the daytime hours or the time that kids are in school. Like families who are moving or in transition, they need stuff at all different kinds of times, right? And so I believe it's an incredible industry for women to design a working environment where they're not under somebody else's construct of what that has to look like. But it takes an incredible amount of energy, dedication, commitment, creativity, and resiliency to build a business that actually works for them.
Yes, wow, that's a lot said there. But I think the general sense of what you said is that you're really building, looking to design your work around your life as opposed to the other way around. And it's good that you're actually promoting that. Because I can tell you, being a corporate technical leader for 17 plus years, that's
Right.
really the support I was looking to have. And that's mostly
Right.
what women are looking to have, that
Mm-hmm.
voice of reason
Mm-hmm.
in the workplace. And it's really, really resonates well when it's a fellow woman executive who is
For
really
sure.
creating that safe space for women to exist and to
Yeah.
flourish.
And I think one of the things that's really important is I think that people have to make a commitment to whatever that vision or their goals are. They have to be committed to doing that. And it is okay to change that. It is okay to change your goals. It is okay to enter into a different season. In fact, when you do, it is the time to look at everything that you're doing and say, is this still supporting this new season of life I'm in? Because I think often what happens is we change seasons and we don't change anything else around us. And then we wonder why we have friction, right? But I think when you have designed something, you have to be committed to those goals, and then you have to get into rooms of people who support you in achieving those goals without shame, with encouragement, and with a level of accountability. Because the other thing that I see in my industry specifically is I see what I consider to be predatory behavior towards moms and women in this industry by advertising that they can be in real estate and make a ton of money and just work part-time hours. And I don't think we're setting anybody up for success by telling them that trying to manage all of these different parts of your life isn't going to take intention and focus and goals and, being driven. It doesn't have to look like anything. It can look exactly like you want it to look, but whatever that vision is, it takes some effort and consistency to build it. And I think anyone who tries to say that doing anything like that is easy or can be done without any thought, I think is doing a disservice to people.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I always like authentic leadership.
Hmm.
I was going to venture
Absolutely.
there. I'm glad that you ventured there because it's important for people to get a real story and
That's
paint
right.
a realistic picture of what can be accomplished.
That's
And
right.
you'll have a little bit more trust and respect when you do that as a
Yeah.
leader, right? I never believe in sugarcoating anything.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a disservice indeed. So thank you that you're not one of those who do that. Thank
Yeah.
you. And so,
Hmm.
how do you define resilience? I know we spoke a lot about, those areas of resiliency you just pointed out, but how do you define resilience in the context of you being a C-suite executive in a real estate company?
I mean, I think resilience to me in general is about having a toolbox of coping skills, of people to rely on, of the ability to navigate, to pivot, to be flexible as things change. And that when you're faced with challenges, you are solution oriented in figuring out how to address them. And I think it takes a level of honesty with yourself of what are you able to do yourself versus where do you need to lean into other people, right? This is where the value of community shows up, and fostering that sense of community before you need it, right? It's like a bank that you continue to make deposits to, so that when you want to make a withdrawal, there's something in it, right? And often I think what happens with women is we get into a situation where we don't always see the opportunity to make the deposit. And then when we need to make a withdrawal, we have to spend a lot of time finding how to get back into community, because the support mechanism isn't there. So I think resiliency is really just about having the forethought to understand what are the tools that you need and how can we start to work on building a life or a structure, or make choices or decisions that support growing that toolbox.
Yes, yeah, you need to build work on your foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Resiliency cultivation. You're absolutely right. It's not something you can just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I need to do
Mm-hmm.
this," right? Brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we spoke a lot about just in general, but what are the key challenges or stresses you, Mindy, face in your
Mm-hmm.
role, and how do you personally cultivate resilience to overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me specifically, like we talked a little bit about seasons and the changing of seasons. I think that that's been, probably one of my greatest challenges is as the seasons in my life have changed, I have not made a ton of modifications to kind of the other things that I was doing, recognizing that I may need something different when those seasons change. And I think when you do that, and as women, I think we enter in and out of seasons more regularly than anybody. And certainly that is added when you have kids and family members and some connectedness, whether it's by way of a spiritual relationship at a church or other community activities or events that you feel a calling towards. If you don't make any modifications when your seasons in life change, you have, I think, unnecessary expectations of yourself. You position yourself to fail more than you do to succeed. You don't start to craft the support mechanisms that you need um, to make it through those changes in seasons. And I think you falsely act, sometimes with leverage that feels supportive, but is really just hindering um, something that's not very sustainable. So I think that's probably been one of my biggest challenges is really leaning into a change in season and having enough insight to see it coming and then being agile enough to make those changes, when it happens versus waiting until I feel the friction and then feeling like I have to course correct.
Yes, brilliantly said again, because I mean, for Boost through this multi-platform like transformation program
Hmm.
that I was birthed just
Hmm.
late 2022 is really all centered around the seasonal journey of resilience.
Hmm.
It's just amazing that you're pointing that out because we're all at different points in our lives. We need
Hmm.
support, help, and everything. So the challenges and the coping mechanisms to counteract those challenges and the opportunities in those seasons
Hmm.
need to be we need to be aware of those in order
Hmm.
to take full advantage of that of everything the season has to offer because it's all a growth process, right?
Hmm.
Healing, thriving, empowerment, it's a process. And
Hmm.
so I'm glad that you highlighted that um,
Hmm.
based on your personal experiences.
Yeah.
Because